say is the Legacy Bill, and I've got copies of it in front of me there, and it's 120 pages, so it's exceptionally complicated and will require a huge amount of effort to put into place. So we've got to recognise that before anything else. But if the proposals in it aren't seriously amended, the process should be ended. In truth, it's now about killing the bill, which is on life support anyway, I believe. It is valueless, and if it does proceed, it is better if it does not proceed. The Legacy Conference we held in March in Malone House with expert speakers on law and from academia, and the consequent book, which is on sale up there actually for £3, Legacy, What to Do About the Past and On and On, exposes the terrible legal failings in the bill and the huge political dangers in it for almost everybody, and human rights aspects as well. So if you don't believe me, just read the newsletter's daily series in their Stop the Legacy Scandal operation, which is now happening around us. Much of the Legacy Bill and Stormont House Agreement, as I know from my involvement in the Haas talks, despite the DUP's initial rejection of his report, sadly it is actually worse than Haas intended. In truth, he nearly correct parading that was well-meaning, trying to please everyone, and ended up mostly serving the NIO's needs to get and keep Sinn Féin on board the so-called peace process, while the SDLP nimbly inserted key elements which are living today in the Legacy Bill. So the result is the HIU, Historical Investigations Unit, creating a police force of the past with incredibly strong powers, not just on the police, serving police, but actually on retired police who will have to answer for misconduct going back 40 years. It is particularly pernicious and was opposed then by my party and still is. The Stormont House Agreement is actually a misnomer. It is a deal between two parties and two governments, and vulnerable for that reason. So forgetting the legal and moral issues, the proposals are neither effective nor efficient. The outcomes in terms of value are minimal. For the cost of even setting up the bizarre structures of the bill, the needs of seriously ill and harmed victims could be met in their entirety. Officials in the NIO accept that the 5-year time span for the bodies and the 150 million cost is fanciful. They've even said themselves it's going to take 12 years and 400 million. I believe it would take 20 years and 600 million at most, at least. Someone at the Legacy Conference said 500 years, and they could be right, as there are several key areas not covered in the bodies to be created in the legislation, and they are in particular inquests and Strasbourg II compliance cases, as they're called, not to mention civil suits, all of which will proceed before, alongside and after these bodies are long gone. So there will be a series of activities constant in the courts, if not in the official bodies. So if inquests were included in an all-singing, all-dancing process, as they could be if government had the courage to take on Strasbourg and Belfast lawyers, the bill might be worth considering, but they aren't, and nor will they ever be, so we're having two for the price of one. Every inquest can and will be reopened, particularly once the MI5 files are handed over by London, and new evidence in the form of allegations of never defined conclusion are added in their thousands. So the agreement by London's agreement to hand over all the files to the new bodies is actually breathtaking. We believe during Haas that was the one thing, the one concession London, indeed any government, would never make, that they have. So let nobody be in any doubt, every single Troubles killings of the 3,000 to date, when viewed through the prism of new evidence, i.e. details on state agent, informants, let alone ineffective or inefficient investigations, can be subject to review, and a further inquest will be opened and a further Strasbourg case will be reached. We now have war through legal politics, which is preferable, but it does not mean you surrender. I know Strasbourg, having won a case there. I also know it's our Supreme Court. Its judgments more recently can be out of sync with the European norm, which was once the centre of gravity. They can be challenged if London had the will. Have Russia and Turkey changed their colossally anti-democratic and illegal ways, despite a series of judgments against them, while they're still members of the Council of Europe? London should take a leaf out of their book in respect of delaying, if nothing else. So coming to a reasonable end shortly. So rewriting history, as Mervyn says, is what it's all about. Creating historical equivalence between the campaigns of the IRA and the response of the security forces. Look at last night's extended interview with Relatives for Justice on your Channel 8, and you'll know what it's about. That will not happen if those here who favour justice and human rights can't put pen to paper. So legal equivalence is present in very large part, so we have to accept that and take account of that. But Sinn Féin and the majority of Catholic voters in Northern Ireland will not agree that the IRA campaign was wrong. That's a political reality of the day, as Willie Fraser rather indicated. But they also want an absence of war. I detect that even in City Hall. So share power, give respect, but don't advance the crimes committed in the terrorist name. The alternatives to the bill that Willie was talking about there will come later. We're willing to and able to provide them. Thank you.